we've been thinking with the new
I've got a slushy.
with the new series of Doctor Who coming, which monsters are going to be showing up? So you can safely say Ncuti is going to have the Daleks and the Cybermen to contend with during his time as a Doctor. But we are thinking which monsters cut from classic Who or new Who that we've only seen once or twice would you like to return into the show?
So yeah, basically this is just going to be us taking a look at monsters we want to see come back, but aren't the Daleks, the Cybermen, or the Master.
Yeah.
None of the big three, basically.
I mean, it is an interesting thing because you're going to get your big three in some form. There is going to be a point where he runs into the Master again, so you know that's coming.
Hopefully not straight away.
Yeah, I hope not.
I love the Master. I think Master is probably my favourite Doctor Who villain of all time, but less is more in some cases for me.
Yeah,
but
it is more hype about it when there's less.
Yeah,
you know. But you can have some really solid episodes with monsters you only see once.
Yeah, I think there's an issue a bit with New Who and monsters returning that have been created in New Who. It's the sense that they're very functional and you can only do certain things with them, like sort of the Jadoon, for example. You can only have the Jadoon really as, you know, your police force hunting a prisoner or something. I think if you want to do something different with the Jadoon, I came up with an idea the other day for an episode that it's you know, have a Jadoon that's been like wrongly accused of like space police brutality or something, you know, or something along those lines, and sort of have to deal with the ramifications of looking at police brutality through a sci-fi context, you know. And there's people like the Ood as well. They're sort of there as a, you know, very, they've got their function, their part within the Whoniverse, as it were.
Yeah.
So,
but then, I mean, jumping straight into it.
Yeah. What? Like, how many? I've picked two. So
I've got two that I'd like to see. But one's got a classic Who, like, background. The other one's very much new Who. Because it was around in Tennant's second year.
Very thirsty.
My first pick is the Autons. So, in classic Who, they're in Spearhead from Space and Terror of the Autons.
They are indeed.
And in New Who, they're in Rose.
They are indeed.
And
Pandorica opens.
Oh, and the Pandorica opens, yeah. But
yeah, they've not been a lot of. I think there's so many, like, you could do a story when we had Praxius, and that's all about microplastics. I think that's you want an Auton story right there. You know, there's so many things, especially now that plastic is being used more and more and things, and you know, there's different plastic like alternatives coming out. There's so many. You've got like a lot of options to do a decent Auton story.
Yeah, and with the new Doctor coming in, there's a good opportunity to do it. Russell T Davies is back, and he'd write a very good story, I'd like to think, for it. Rose was incredible as a story, and the threat of him is like they had just stood there, and then all of a sudden, they're just sort of starting to kill you.
Yeah, I think they're one of the more iconic monsters in terms of like the sort of general recognition of them. Like you see, you know, people talk about Doctor Who, they talk about like Daleks or something, or the shop window dummies and things coming out and killing people like that in Spearhead from Space.
Yeah.
You know, it does stick in the mind. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a market for that for sure.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting to see how they go about do it, because I know they like to have that political messaging lingering in the background. I'm just really hoping it won't be as in the forefront as it has been in recent series.
I think you can do political stuff very overtly, but you have to have it within an engaging story. Otherwise, that's when it's not necessarily the subtlety that I take issue with over the last couple of years. It's the fact that you've had things that have been in a really unengaging. I think it's that word, unengaging, disengaging. I don't know, boring stories. Do you know what I mean? Like the only thing you remember is the sort of political side of it, because that's the only thing that sticks in the brain.
Yeah, like look at Orphan 55.
I was just about to say that, you know, that everyone remembers it being so like over the top. You can do, you know, potential, this could be the Earth in the future if we don't look after it. That's quite interesting. But when you've got a story that's just terrible, it just really makes. And that speech at the end is very
forced.
You know, beats you over the head with it a bit.
Yeah.
But no, if you were to do an Auton story, then what would you do? You got an idea for that, or is it just a case you want to see him back?
I hadn't gone through an idea for them yet. Maybe go back to their planet, because we've only seen them on Earth, and in Rose that you find out that their planet was destroyed in the Time War. So if you can go back before their planet was destroyed and have a story on their home world, I think that could be quite interesting. It's expanding the Hooniverse. It's exploring new ideas. It will give a completely refreshing build to the story. Maybe even an origins story of how they first came about to be able to have that ability to control all plastic wherever they are.
They've done that just quite recently in a big Finish release with the Fifth Doctor, and that was quite... I enjoyed that, to be fair. I don't know, some 42 it's called, but like the box it's 40, volume 2. 42. I never realised how confusing that was until I just said that out loud. No, that's fair. Well, what other choice did you have then?
So the other choice, I enjoyed them in the Shakespeare Code. It's the Carrionites. But not like, obviously we see them, they're trying
Not
to bring...
written by Gareth Roberts, obviously.
No. They were trying to bring their people back, and the Doctor stopped them, which is probably good. That was good.
Just talking over you with the slush back.
That's fine, I'll wait.
Refreshing and delicious. This video is not sponsored, by the way.
It's not, there's a clear cut.
Just really fancied one.
So yeah, the Doctor stopped them from taking over the world in Shakespeare Code, but I want to take it back to their planet as to how they've come to be where they are, like how they've just come to be really, and what's led them on this path.
Yeah.
Because we know again, Time War caused them a lot of issues, and yeah, I generally think it could become something really good.
I do find them interesting as a concept of how like they use words as weapons, and like different structures of words can have different powers and everything. It's quite, you need someone that's got quite a good like sort of grasp on dialogue to do it justice. I'd like to see them back as well. Maybe they would. How would that? I'd like to see it maybe set in like the modern day or something, and they're behind. They're influencing people in the present or something to use Earth as a... I don't know. There's a lot of ideas for them, actually. You could sort of...
Using the government or something.
Yeah. You're not really that limited with carrying outs. As long as you've got people that can speak, they're there.
Yeah, so. And it could be... Because the carrying outs in the Shakespeare Code, it was a good thriller episode.
Yeah.
Really, like, it kept you on edge at times because it was a bit of witchcraft until they realised it was just a power with words. And like seeing all that voodoo doll stuff was really cool. Shakespeare being made to write stuff out of his control. It worked really well for me. Yeah. Didn't care for the Martha and the Doctor issue.
Yeah, I don't like the way the 10th Doctor's characterised in that episode at all. It was
bad.
The Shakespeare Code as an entire episode really has aged like milk. Sort of the attitudes towards Martha and everything, or alright, it would have been at the time. It's just played for laughs, and it's not really something you play for laughs. Racial discrimination, but that's just me.
No, I'm with you on that one.
But right, yeah, that's a solid talk.
Solid couple. Please keep that in.
My tongue blew.
Yes.
Nice. So I've gone for 2 from the classic series, and my first choice is the Meddling Monk.
Ooh.
Because it's kind of the obvious one to do. In terms of, I know sort of trying to explain where he's been during the Time War and everything would be a bit, but you could look past it. You could have him incarcerated in a prison on the edge of the galaxy or something, I don't know. But to have, you could have him pop back up. I've already decided who I want to cast in the role, and that would be Matt Berry. I think would be just phenomenal, because they nearly did a story, I think it was in Capaldi's first series, where they were going to have Matt Berry as the Meddling Monk, and he introduces the song Rasputin to Rasputin, and
that's brilliant.
Hijinks ensue, and we never got that. Unfortunately, we got Kill the Moon instead.
Oh, I'd have rather that.
I'd have rather death than Kill the Moon.
I'd have yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you need someone with quite good comedy chops to do it, because they are a bit more of a silly villain, but they are quite a threat at the end of the day, the Meddling Monk, because he's actively messing around with time and changing things just because he enjoys throwing a spanner in the works, really. Obviously so far we've had quite a few actors, but we've had obviously Peter Butterworth on telly, Graham Garden of The Goodies, on audio, along with Rufus Hound and Gemma Whelan as the meddling nun, because they did a female incarnation as well.
Nice.
But yeah, I think Matt Berry would be great. I've always had this idea of a story where, say, like the monk is trapped in the past as well, and he's like sort of, I had this idea that I've always tried to want to write, actually, where it's the meddling monk trapped in the past, in like the First World War or something, and he's helping the British unfairly with like future technology, and the Doctor's sort of got to thrown into the dilemma of, right, well, I know this is wrong for the space-time continuum and all that stuff. I've got to take it all away and stop the monk, but then you have to deal with the moral thing of, putting the British back a bit, and sort of having to going that, well, taking this away is probably going to lead to a lot more lives being lost, and ultimately obviously they'll win, but am I doing the right thing? Just a nice little moral dilemma like that.
That'd be...
Or do a comedic episode with the meddling monk just cocking things up as well.
Well, I mean, provided you don't kill him or just eradicate him from the show for a bit, you could do both. A
recurring villain, and you could have like a whole series set around things changing in time, and then it's revealed to be the monk, and that's how I do it. Maybe we should do like our own like sort of plan of what we would do if we were showrunner.
Yeah,
that could be fun.
That could be a
fun
good
video. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that would be quite a... What's the word? I don't know.
Psychological. Yeah,
I think it'd be quite a different way of doing things and not having to rely so much on like big stakes. Everything have it quite, all right, World War One is quite a big stake, but you know what I mean? Like having it more contained and more of a character focus than an actual what the monk is doing. It's more about what the effects of this will have.
It could start off as like subtle little things that you wouldn't necessarily notice on first glimpse.
Yeah, and then by the end of it, they've got like, I don't know, like tanks or something.
Yeah.
Or like high tech planes and stuff that just you've got to go right. Well, they've got to take this away, but this will probably lead to more of a disadvantage. I don't know, something along those lines. Basically, I came up with it the other day, and it's been in my head ever since. So.
That could be really good, to be honest. That would probably work really well.
Yeah. My other choice is the Mara from Peter Davison's era.
Ooh.
Because I would love to see their Mara come back. It's a great way for you to get your leads to play evil for a bit. When they did it, obviously Janet Fielding obviously has a great time being possessed and everything, which is not a sentence you ever thought you'd hear yourself say unless you start doing Doctor Who YouTube channel. But I think the idea of the Mara as like this sort of concept that enters reality through people's dreams is quite unnerving. It's quite chilling. Now as well with technology and everything, we'd have a much more convincing Snake.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to think so anyway.
Yeah. But I'd love to do it in sort of maybe have like a sort of kind of dream episode where the Mara's trying to gain entry through different dreams and things, and you dream within a dream and all that sort of stuff. Bit abstract, bit wacky, and then maybe sort of that's part one, and then part two is the Mara's re-emerged and they've got to try and stop it again. Because I know that they've done a Big Finish story that was like sort of made into the Mara stories into a bit of a trilogy, but that's all we really had. We haven't had any we had like one fleeting mention of them in Torchwood, but we've not seen or heard of it since. And I just think out of all of the ones I want to come back, that's sort of the top spot for me,
Fair.
And have them maybe even if it's just the once pop up again, just to bring them back, because I think it's such a cool concept. And like Kinder and Snake Dancer, two of my favourite Davison stories, Kinder especially.
Yeah. Kinder's really good.
Really abstract and wild. You have people changing. I'd like it to maybe be a bit of a base under siege thing, or go full world ending stakes. And have like the Mara re-emerging and taking control of different governments and things, and like infiltration that way. And I just think, I don't know, I just really want the Mara to come back, to be honest. If you haven't seen Kinder or Snake Dance, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But
go give them a watch, because they are incredible serials to watch.
Yeah, I'd even see we could even do like a sequel and get Martin Clunes back.
Yeah. But no, again, you could do government takeover into world takeover.
Yeah. Story
with the Mara, just because of the mind control power.
But I think that would be just as effective as having a base under siege story.
Yeah.
Where research, it's like a research facility or something, kind of like what we see in Kinder, but on Earth somewhere, and they start sort of slowly taking people over through their dreams, and you could have the chance to have quite trippy visuals and weird direction and stuff.
Especially with CGI now, like the technology we have now, it could really trip you out without having to take anything.
Yeah, and I like I've said many times that I like Doctor Who when it goes a bit abstract and does something a bit different. Fun. I was very positive on Once Upon a Time from Flux, which was like one of the weaker episodes for a lot of people, but I really enjoyed it. You know, I quite like it when Amy's Choice as well. That sort of dream. I don't know. I've always liked sort of dream.
Amy's Choice was a fun episode. Yeah. I did enjoy that because you're constantly trying to figure out yourself. Like, okay, are we in the dream world or are we in the real world? Like, what's what? They blurred it perfectly.
Yeah,
I think.
And even though you sort of kind of have the feeling that obviously the one as hardest as they are now is the real one, you do sort of go, well, also couldn't be, you know, could be a case of like if this has just been a big time jump or something. But you know, I just like the idea of dreams being used as like a narrative structure for things. You know, I'm a sucker for everything. I've seen Inception many times. You know,
imagine they did an entire series just for the companion to figure out at the end of it all that she's been caught up in, like, the Doctor's been doing what he has, but the companion's just been dreaming she's been there the entire time and finds out in the finale.
That could be a cool reveal, but I want to say I like dreams. I don't like the whole "it was all a dream."
Yeah, no, not like it was all a dream. Just like
maybe as an episode you could do that, perhaps. You know, and work out that actually none of this has happened. This is the Mara re-emerging. You know, maybe do like the Monk trilogy in series 10. You have the first episode where you think you're putting pieces together and it pulls the rug from under you at the end. Then you have the second one then where, you know, they're trying to stop this force from merging and stuff, and by part 3 it has, and you're in like a sort of alternate reality almost, and they've got to try and shut it all down. Yeah, that's how I do it. I'm a big Mara 3-parter in the middle of a series.
Yeah.
Boom. Right, I'm going to start writing these down because I'm going to come up with... That's what we'll do next week then. We will do a sort of outline, say if we had like a 3-year stint on the show, outline what kind of stories we do, characters and everything. That'd be good fun.
Yeah. Casting as well, or?
Yeah, if you want.
You could just be who we want to show up in Doctor Who, effectively.
Yeah, but it could be. But if you've got someone that you say, like, you know, you've got a specific role for someone, that could be fun as well.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll let you know, and we'll wrap this up. I haven't got any more. I've just been gushing over the Mara for a bit.
Yeah, I haven't got any more. We'd just be so happy. I'm just going to be happy that we're not going to just get a big 3. Hopefully, we don't get them all in one hit. I reckon Russell T Davies is going to want to drag it out a bit just to give that little bit of
I wouldn't be surprised
suspense
if we sort of get like Daleks in the finale or something, and then it's like, you know, like what he did before, where he reintroduces them gradually, you know, where we don't get them all in the first series. We get Daleks, and then we get the Cybermen, and then we get the Master, and then we get Davros.
Yeah,
you know, but we just have to wait and see, I suppose.
Yeah, not long though. November's coming up very quickly.
We're in April, man. It's ages away.
May, June, July, August, September, October. Oh.
Yeah, it's like over half a year away.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we're going to be going mental. And
yes.
But that's life, isn't it? Anyway, let us know what monsters you'd like to see come back. Don't say the Dalek, Cybermen, or the Master. You've got to pick something else. And what kind of stories you do with them, really. So.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, feel free to follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
TS Visualiser and TikTok. Jump on there because if we find out news and stuff, we tend to post on there if we can't get to a camera.
Yeah,
or I'll tag you and I'll tag the page and stuff as well.
Well, sometimes I'll be just tweeting radio stations asking to stop playing Lewis Capaldi when I'm in work.
It is entertaining. It does make for a good read.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you all next week. I'm going to try and drink the rest of this without drowning.
And I've got a bottle of Pepsi on the side. Have a good evening.
Bye.